Ed Sarpolus, political watcher, political analyst, pollster, and director of government affairs for the Michigan Education Association on the other end of our line, counting them down, aren't we? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Michael. It's a great day to start counting it down. Nice sunny day.
We're counting them down, as Casey Kasem used to say, and we're in the stretch here. And how about this sort of little bomb that Bill Ballinger dropped in Inside Michigan Politics? He says, quote, unless something spectacular is going to happen, some kind of bomb dropped by Andy Dillon, or he comes up with money we didn't know he had, I see the tide running inexorably away from Dillon. He is predicting, Bill Ballinger, that Burge Bernero will be the Democratic nominee for governor. What do you think?
Well, what you're seeing out there is a momentum towards Bernero right now, and despite the money time advantage that you're seeing reported, right now, the one thing that Dillon doesn't have, that Bernero has, is a growing grassroots operation of the labor movement out there. That's what's so key to Bernero's movement, and also the fact that, the labor movement's out there doing educational ads about Bernero. So there's a momentum, there's an advantage, and that's what Ballinger is seeing in his small poll. There's a momentum shift. In the case of Dillon's also getting money from, the Wall Street crowd, the business group, and so the question for Dillon is, can he make up with dollars on the TV with lacking a grassroots operation to compete with this growing movement towards Bernero started by labor?
It's not been a very expensive gubernatorial primary on the Democratic side. What I mean by that is there hasn't been a lot of spending, has there?
Oh, there's been a lot of spending out
there.
There. What you haven't seen on both sides of the aisle, both Republicans and Democrats, the interest groups through soft dollars, issue ads, and other things like that don't show up on the campaign finance reports. There's a lot of money that's been spent on Dillon's behalf and Bernero's behalf that because of groups out there want to be sure that their cause has a voice in Lansing. So that's what you don't see in his campaign finance statement.
What do you make of these endorsements now? I see that the Detroit Free Press and the Grand Rapids Press and the Muskegon Chronicle have endorsed Pete Hoekstra for governor. How important is that?
Well, what it does for Hoekstra is name recognition. We've found in the past over the years is that who the newspapers endorse does not usually decide who wins on Election Day. In the case of Pete Hoekstra, it's name recognition. He hasn't been able to compete dollar-wise with Cox or Snyder, so this is very key to him, is get the exposure out there going into this final week of the campaign.
Mike Bouchard's totally discounted the most recent poll. This was the one by the Detroit News and WDIV that had him at 11%, Hoekstra and Cox in a dead heat, virtually near 26%. He said that poll was totally irrelevant. Was there some reason why that data is not useful?
Oh, it's very useful because the one thing you have to understand is Bouchard is trying to create a momentum. He tried it on a number of different other issues, and right to work is the issue that he's running with right now. Will he make some ground roads? Yeah. The issue is the fact that actually Bouchard is helping Hoekstra with any momentum gets. Basically, for Hoekstra to win, he's dependent on Bouchard and Snyder taking votes away from Cox. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest threat right now is the fact is what Cox is going to depend on how Snyder and Bouchard are out there campaigning, how they might hurt him against Hoekstra.
That West Michigan, those two West Michigan congressional seats, the Vern Ayler seat and the Pete Hoekstra seat, the fact that those primaries are so hotly contested and the fact that whoever wins those primaries is very likely going to win the general election and be the next congressperson from West Michigan, does that help Pete Hoekstra in terms of turnout?
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, when you look at the polling data that's been going on there, the one reason why Hoekstra has been able to chance is because the turnout amongst West Michigan Republicans is up from previous years. Typically, it's the Oakland County, Southeast Michigan, who's really been the boost for Republican gubernatorial candidates. But this year, it's West Michigan. And has been the high interest in Southeast Michigan. It's West Michigan. So yes, those two congressional districts are definitely helping Pete Hoekstra.
The first gentleman, Dan Mulhern, on the program last week described Attorney General Mike Cox as mean. Where is his strength? And I guess what I'm asking, I know he has the endorsement of the Michigan Chamber and the right to life and that sort of thing, but who are the true believers for the Cox campaign?
Well, you got to understand that the state chamber was with Michael Cox from the very beginning when he ran for Attorney General the first time. So basically, they're not going to jump ship on somebody that they endorsed 8 years ago. So you got to understand how the chamber came to his aid. Mm-hmm. And he has some very good. The key thing with Michael Cox is he's a street fighter, he's a gut fighter, and he doesn't give up. And that's what he's very tenacious, and that's what keeps him going out there because he's a fighter. And he's building his rank and file supporters out there, and because he's been very tenacious at this for more than, remember, he's been campaigning for more than 2 years. Mm-hmm. He's learned to take advantage of the office to get his name out there and to build grassroots out there operations. So he's got a grassroots army out there that most of us don't talk about.
Will people actually pull the lever for Rick Snyder?
there will be a number of people who will support Rick Snyder. You have a lot of independent voters. You have the moderate Republicans out there. That's who will be voting for Rick Snyder, and that's why it's so key for him to do well in order to help Hoekstra, because he's going to pull votes, those independent votes, those McCain-type voters are the ones who are going to look at Rick Snyder.
What are you hearing about the primary race to go up against Mark Schauer there for Congress in the Jackson and Battle Creek area? Brian Rooney versus Tim Walberg. Anything?
Well, the bottom line is polls have been up and down. I would say that the tracking polls have been edging Walberg, but the issue would be is that because of name recognition, and Rooney is his building name recognition. So the bottom line, if Walberg wins its name recognition, if Rooney wins, it's because of the fact he was able to spend some money out there and build a base that he did not have coming into the state.
Okay, thank you very much, Ed Sarpolus. We'll talk again before the primary. Appreciate your time. It's very valuable. I know with only 8 days left. He's Ed Sarpolus from the Michigan Education Association, Director of Government Affairs and political analyst. We're back in a flash.